Right. The next performer just clarified that this is her third time collaborating with this event, so she must like it, or there's absolutely nothing to do for her after Valentine's weekend. Constantly, which might be a problem, okay? But I want to think that she likes to do the show, all right? And her nom de guerre, her performance name is actually one of the hardest things that I went through when I was, believe it or not, this is me talking to you, thinking that I've learned English and I don't have anything to learn anymore. I know I need to polish it, but back when I was, trying to figure out your confusing as fuck past tense, turns out that there was something between ma'am and miss. And in my mind, it looked like miss. So I'm gonna write how I think about it. And it almost looks like a very dark evening and a slippery penis, right? And I'm going to write it. Sexy is actually the same spelling in Spanish, in case you were wondering. But I like when we use the KS instead of the X. It makes it look Lithuanian, Like, there will be sex, but holy shit, there might be snuff too. Like, hopefully it's not me, Like you see the axe and you're like, I'm excited and afraid, But don't worry, she is not using an axe tonight, that I know. Maybe there's one in the cleavage. We don't really check people's cleavage, so beware. And give a big round of applause for our friend, singular, Miss Sexy. I believe you can be louder than that.
Good evening, fellow Kinksters. How's everyone doing tonight? Good. I am Hotwife and erotic author Juliet Adelaide. And Hotwife in the fetish world, just for those who don't know, is basically more or less a married woman who is permitted lovers. As long as the husband's involved, honesty, openness, so important in any polyamorous relationship. Important in any relationship, of course, but even more so. But anyway, I wrote 3 erotic true story books about my journey to polyamory, and I will be handing out some promotional condoms at the bar after this if anybody needs a free condom. Also, if you have any questions about the books, my lifestyle, that type of thing. So, we have been married for 25 years. So we were monogamous for the first 20 years of our marriage. And then about 5 years ago or so, we've always been a very kinky couple, so we decided, what haven't we done? We haven't played with other people. So we kind of, over some time, discussed things, and the threesome thought came up. We'd like to include somebody else. So we started exploring that over some time, and I eventually started communicating with a guy named Dan, which is what I'm going to read about tonight, who was the first guy outside of my marriage that I had any contact with in a romantic way of any kind. But we were all kind of nervous. He had a bucket list item that he wanted to be with a couple, so he was a little nervous, we were a little nervous, so we'd all decided, well, why don't we just go grab a beer at a pub and see how things go, and then we can do that later on if we decide to proceed. So this is from my chapter 4, Dan in the Flesh. We chatted at the bar a long time and all seemed to get along very well. My husband and I stepped out for a smoke. He asked me if I wanted to invite Dan over to our house, perhaps for an introductory blowjob. Dan said he had plans for that evening, so I wasn't sure he was going to have the time, but it would be fun, and perhaps a little shocking, to ask him. He came outside on the patio. I kissed him some more, and my husband made the offer. He simply asked Dan if he wanted to come over to our place, where his wife could blow him. He was a bit surprised. He laughed and said that was an offer he couldn't really refuse, and that his plans could wait. It was agreed that I would go in Dan's truck, and he played some music for me as I gave directions and we drove. He seemed nervous for the first time that afternoon. We showed him around the house, made some coffee, and sat down in the living room. Dan and I kissed. He actually wasn't as touchy-feely as he was at the bar. It was my chance, though, to be a bit shocking again. I pulled my dress over my head. I was still in my boots, a cute bra and panty set, and I straddled him on my couch. We kissed, and I could feel the warmth through his pants, a sensation that I had not felt with another man in 25 years. He was getting more into the kissing while I was writhing on his lap. I could feel his erection, and it was so exciting. My husband was watching the activities from a nearby recliner. I kept looking over to make sure he was okay with what was going on, but he seemed to enjoy the show. He did help Dan unhook my bra. Dan started to caress my breasts and took to sucking and licking my nipples. I stood up and took off Dan's pants. I knew exactly what to expect, of course, as I had seen his cock before in videos and pictures, but now I had the chance to stroke it, to suck it. It was so exhilarating. I loved having the feeling of making the stranger aroused, sitting on my couch under my control. It was so hot. I knelt on the floor between his legs as he sat on the couch. I took his cock into my mouth, and as I sucked and licked, my husband came over behind me and rubbed my pussy through my panties. Dan started to get into it a bit more. His breath quickened in pace. He began to moan. He stood up, and I continued stroking and sucking. My husband excused himself for the room, thinking perhaps Dan was a bit nervous about coming in his wife's mouth with him there. It was clear that Dan was. When my husband stepped out, Dan grabbed and pulled my hair backwards, pulled out of my mouth, and gave himself a few strokes as he shot hot cum onto my mouth, my face, and even into my hair. He was loud. My husband had missed the money shot, but he heard it. The neighbors probably heard it. I should have known he was loud, as I heard him come on video before. It was so erotic. I grabbed a towel to clean up a bit as he put his pants back on, and my husband joined us back in the living room. We joked that we were sorry to keep him so late. He laughed and said it was perfectly all right. He hung out a bit longer and kissed me as he left. It was a very memorable evening, a true sexual experience outside of my marriage, yet still including my husband. Perfect in my mind as a fun night of adventure. I even had a knotted up souvenir in my hair. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Give it up for Miss Sexy.